Welcome to this explainer. If you're currently navigating the crazy complexities of large-scale software delivery, you already know that your version control system, well, it's literally the beating heart of your entire engineering org. So today, we're going to break down the technical, the financial, and the strategic realities of scaling Bitbucket for enterprise teams. Let's get right into it.
So first things first, is your version control actually slowing your developers down? For massive engineering teams, sluggish performance and highly bureaucratic change management are huge bottlenecks. Imagine thousands of developers constantly cloning, fetching, pushing. Eventually, the infrastructure just buckles under the weight. What should be a lightning-fast code update suddenly turns into this frustrating wait. It's usually just long enough to go grab a coffee, but definitely not long enough to actually get any deep work done. To demystify all of this, we've split this explainer into 5 quick parts. First, the scaling challenge, then Bitbucket Mesh explained, the cloud advantage, pricing and hidden costs, and we'll wrap it all up with best practices for enterprise.
Okay, part 1, the scaling challenge. Let's look at the immediate technical roadblocks. As teams grow, they almost always move from a single node setup with local storage over to a clustered deployment using a network file system, or NFS. But here's the kicker. Moving your storage further away from your processing massively increases network latency. We're talking basic commands taking anywhere from 10 to 1,000 times longer to execute. So a quick fetch that takes maybe 50 milliseconds locally, over a network, that could easily drag out to a full 10 seconds. In an interactive UI, that kind of lag is just a total deal breaker.
Moving on to part 2, Bitbucket Mesh explained. Let's talk about how to actually fix that latency.
For organizations that are hitting these exact performance walls in their data center environments, Atlassian rolled out Bitbucket Mesh. And this basically flips the script completely. Instead of pulling heavy data all the way across the network just to process it, Mesh moves the processing directly to where the storage actually lives. So it replaces that sluggish NFS setup with localized microsecond performance using remote procedure calls. In short, your Git processes run right where your data is sitting.
On top of that speed, Mesh is a distributed, horizontally scalable system. It replicates your repository across a minimum of 3 distinct nodes, which creates some really incredible resilience. Think about it. Even if an entire availability zone totally goes dark from a power outage or a network failure, your developers can literally just keep pushing code without a single hiccup. A write quorum is still perfectly achieved with the remaining nodes. And once that offline node wakes back up, Mesh automatically repairs the replicas. It's totally seamless.
But there's always a trade-off, right? While Mesh gives you this bulletproof resilience and blazing speed, you absolutely have to account for the physical storage cost. Keeping at least 3 copies of every single repository is going to seriously inflate your raw storage footprint. To put that into perspective, if you're currently sitting on 500 gigabytes of repository data, well, with a replication factor of 3, you're suddenly going to need at least 1,500 gigabytes of total storage across those nodes.
All right, part 3, the cloud advantage. Let's explore why so many folks are ditching infrastructure management altogether.
With Atlassian Data Center support officially sunsetting on March 28, 2029, a ton of organizations are just moving straight to Bitbucket Cloud. No more infrastructure headaches, period. Plus, going cloud unlocks some amazing exclusive features. A massive one is Atlassian's Ruvo AI. It's an agentic AI that actively reviews your code, writes up pull request summaries, and can even scan log files to troubleshoot pipeline failures the second they happen. You've also got native Bitbucket pipelines for auto-scaling CI/CD with no external servers required, and a super dynamic Jira UI built right into the workspace itself.
And it gets even better when you hook up Bitbucket Cloud with Jira Service Management. It actually automates your change management. Using an automated risk assessment engine, it looks at things like which services are affected by your change and automatically ungates and approves low-risk deployments. It literally turns change management from this tedious, soul-crushing bureaucratic chore into a totally invisible background process. High-risk changes, those still get appropriately routed for a proper human review, of course.
So what's the actual bottom line here? What do these automations actually give back to your team? Try 7.5 hours. According to a Forrester Total Economic Impact study, leaning into this deep Atlassian integration wipes out severe context switching. The kind of interruption that usually costs a developer like 20 to 25 minutes just to get their focus back. By putting all the right info exactly where devs are already working, it saves roughly 7.5 hours per developer every single week. That's basically getting almost a whole extra workday back for free.
And financially? That same study tracked a massive 358% return on investment over 3 years. and the payback period is just 12 months. Basically, it pays for itself in a single year, while driving an overall 20% jump in team productivity. Which brings us nicely to part 4, pricing and hidden costs. Let's look under the hood at the true total cost of ownership. To figure out that ROI, we need to look neutrally at the actual pricing tiers. Now, the standard tier is incredibly compelling. For teams between 6 and 100 users, it's just $3.65 per user per month, and it gives you 2,500 pooled CI/CD build minutes per user. If you bump up to the premium tier at $7.25, you're getting crucial security features like IP allow listing. And for the folks who still strictly need self-managed infrastructure, Data Center is an option starting at $2,300 a year for 25 users. But keep in mind that $2,300 absolutely does not include your massive on-premise hardware and hosting costs.
Now, here's a really quirky scaling incentive you should know about. Moving from a 5-user free plan to a 6-user paid plan actually triggers a massive 80% drop in the per-user rate. A 5-person team technically pays $18.25 per user, but the second you add that 6th person, the rate plummets to just $3.65. Atlassian is basically daring mid-market teams to expand.
However, if you are an enterprise buyer, you absolutely must budget for what we call the SSO tax. If your company requires single sign-on, you have to buy a completely separate Atlassian Guard subscription. Slapping Guard Standard or Guard Premium on top of your base Bitbucket license essentially doubles or even triples your advertised cost, pushing it up to around $7.85 or even $11.83 per user. It's just something you absolutely need to factor into the budget.
You also need to think about the day-to-day operational realities. If your team leans really heavily on CI/CD, build minute overages will run you $10 for every 1,000 minutes. Also, if you're currently sitting on a competitor like GitHub or GitLab, migrating isn't just a flip of a switch. Expect anywhere from 200 to 360 engineering hours to make that move, which translates to roughly $20,000 to $36,000 in effort. But again, the Forrester data shows that you usually recoup that migration cost within the first year. And hey, do not forget that March 2029 data center end-of-life deadline. It's coming faster than you think.
All right, final section, part 5, best practices for enterprise. Let's talk scaling strategy.
Based on insights from Clovity, an Atlassian Platinum partner, we know that scaling successfully requires some really intentional architecture up front. First, you have to make a hard choice early on. Are you organizing via massive monorepos or breaking things out into independent microservices? Next, you've got to enforce a strict branching workflow across your entire org. Maybe that's Git flow for super stable, gated releases, or trunk-based development if you want rapid, continuous integration. Finally, don't reinvent the wheel. Automate your CI/CD by templating your deployment pipelines so everything is completely standardized across all your projects.
And of course, at the enterprise level, security is absolutely non-negotiable. You've got to build in serious DevSecOps guardrails. We're talking restricting direct commits to the main branch, enforcing mandatory peer code reviews before anything merges, and baking security scans directly into your pipeline so you catch vulnerabilities instantly. On the admin side, turn on two-factor authentication across the board, and definitely leverage those premium features like IP allow listing to keep the auditors happy and your code totally secure.
So, bringing it all together, scaling successfully isn't just about throwing money at faster servers. It demands a really careful balance between your technical architecture, your developer workflows, and a brutally honest understanding of your true financial costs. Whether you decide to deploy a highly available mesh architecture on-premise or you jump to the cloud to let Rovo AI handle your busy work, the blueprint is the same. Structure your repos, understand your real per-user costs, and automate everything you possibly can. That is how you unlock true developer velocity.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty important question to think about. With the clock ticking down on data center support and AI completely rewriting the rules on how we build and deploy code, are you ready to stop managing infrastructure and actually start shipping? How quickly can your organization adapt to these modern workflows to stay ahead of the curve? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. Keep learning, keep optimizing, and we will see you in the next one.